Hi, Greg.
Hi, gang.
How you doing?
Good. How are you?
I can't complain.
Good. Steve?
Hey, Greg.
Wow. Yeah, that's what I wanted to do, but now I won't even see them.
Wait, turn over you.
You're on. We can hear you.
We have everybody with us yet?
Still working on my Apple here, Tom.
You gotta love it, Keith.
I'm fine. I'm fine in the office with my PC. I get on my wife's Apple and things go baloney here.
I'm in trouble, huh?
I guess the answer to the situation is let your wife sit by you and do it.
Actually, she's headed to the other room for a call to Hong Kong.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay, if we have everybody, we'll call the Tuesday, May 11th, 2021 meeting of Wyomissing Borough Council to order. And I will begin the meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Before we go any further, there was an executive session before tonight's meeting to discuss personnel, potential litigation, and contractual issues. And may we have roll call, please, Melissa?
Councilmember Bauscher,
Here.
Councilmember Woodward,
Here.
Councilmember Brenner,
Here.
Councilmember Jenks,
Here.
Councilmember Menon,
Here.
Councilmember Jur,
Here,
and Council President Moll.
Here. First item of business is public comments. Are there any public comments this evening? No public comments this evening? Okay.
I have, excuse me, I was muted. I'm sorry. Do you hear me? Hello?
I can hear you now. Please
Okay,
state your
thank
name and your address for the record, please.
Thank you so much, Adrian Jadick, for 48 Cardinal Road. 1 second, I have the phone also on. Melissa, can we put the video?
We can try playing the video, but the audio was not working.
Oh, I can play it myself, if you wish. It's not a big deal. If should have told me. It's not a big deal. We can play it.
What is this relevant to? Is this relevant to some issue here that's?
Yes, sir. It is relevant to some. 1 second. I am.
What is it we're discussing? What are we waiting for? Got a lot of business on the agenda tonight.
It's a clip that I will play for you in a second.
What is it about?
Office surrounded by everybody that's had a vaccine, and they still sit there with a mask on. I don't get it.
This is a conversation, sir.
This is not during a public meeting. It has no bearing on the meeting. Turn it off.
That's how they prop him up.
What do you mean it doesn't have?
It
It
has
is the
no
discussion.
bearing on the. It has no.
It is
bearing
the
on the-
discussion that you are having. I have the right for a public comment, and it is relevant to the meeting, sir.
According to our rules and regulations, it has.
Yes, sir. It is relevant. This is a council meeting, and I wish to call out the language that is used at these meetings, and this was a sample of that language.
This was before a meeting. This was before a meeting was put into session.
How do you know? So did you see the video before that?
I heard the thing before when it was said.
And it doesn't matter if it's before or after. I wish to make my comment, sir, please.
Well, that's done. We're done.
How is that? I object against, for the Sunshine Act. Under the Sunshine Act, I am allowed to make my comment for 5 minutes. And
Well,
your
it has no
regulations.
bearing on the business at hand.
Yes, sir, it has. It has the bearing on your behavior, sir. And I want to call out your behavior during these meetings.
Well, good.
So can I please make my comment? I would appreciate if I could make the speech. I wrote it down.
All right, make your speech.
Thank you so much. I wish to call out the disgraceful level of conversation that takes place among council and committee members. This Trumpist defiance of decency combined with a male bravado and at anyone's expense through ageist remarks, bigotry, and ridiculing one's physical impairments. There is no leadership in such behavior. This does not make the borough more prosperous or welcoming. It makes us ugly and bigoted. Such conversations serve no legitimate purpose. Bullying is not freedom of speech, it is verbal abuse. You have said in that conversation that they prop President Biden first thing in the morning, and they leave him like that for the day at the desk. The direct participants in this conversation were Tom Boucher, Keith Durr, David Reeser, Bill Jenks, and Tom Moll. Other members of the administrations as well as council members were present but did not take direct part in this conversation, nor did they protest or distance themselves. Everybody laughed. All these people, Tom Boucher, Keith Durr, David Reeser, laughed at the comment. It was an ageistic remark. Of utmost concern is that Councilmember Menon, who is a registered Democrat, was also present. Such remarks were demeaning her president and other party officials, but she chose not to take any stance whatsoever against this language and behavior.
This is going to be a political issue now.
This is political.
I've had it.
I'm
I've
done.
absolutely had it.
I'm sorry, say again?
I said, I've had it. This is nothing more than a political position that you're doing.
No, sir, it is
Yes,
calling
sir.
out.
Yes,
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah.
Mr. Jadik, stop it. We're not stupid.
What do you mean?
Every single month you criticize us and
All right.
everybody on this borough.
Yes, sir.
All right, let's bring the meeting back to order. Bill, settle down. Mr. J, that's enough. We've heard enough.
Okay, well, I think that Wyomissing deserves better, sir.
And we have it.
Well, then you be quiet.
Yeah, that would
Thank
be.
you so much.
Okay.
I hope you're happy now.
May I have a motion to receive all the committee reports, please?
So moved.
Second,
Second.
all those in favor?
Aye.
I have it. First item of business is the Borough Council minutes from April 13th, 2021. Are there any additions or corrections to the minutes as they were written? All those in favor of approving them, please signify by saying aye.
I
Have it, thank you. Next item of business is the consulting engineers report. Mr. McCarthy,
Good evening, everyone.
good evening.
Doing well. Essentially, everything's in our report. The one thing is 4th Street work is progressing nicely. They started the work in North Wyomissing Boulevard today with the curbing and the islands. And if you drove down there, you'll see tons of signage. They started signing and doing sharrows on the bike route as well. And everything else is in the report, and any action items will be discussed in the committee reports.
Okay. It does really look good down there. 4th Street's looking good.
It's getting there.
Yes, it is.
Another month, we should be driving on it.
Yeah, the raceway starts.
Jim, were you going to bring up the resolution for the flood mitigation grant?
I thought that was a separate resolution.
It is, but it was coming under your report.
Oh, all right. I thought that was under the other report. Okay, then the only other thing we have is the flood mitigation grant. You know, as we know in the past, these funding grants pop up with no notice, and we have 30 or 40 days to respond. So this didn't get run through all the committees. What we're looking for is council authorization to apply for the flood mitigation grant for the relining of the Lincoln and Brandywine culvert for at least a portion of it. I believe Michelle, we estimated 1.2 million to reline it. Michelle, what was the exact max amount that they can give us on that?
500,000.
Right. So that would do about half of it. And the boroughs, if we were successful, the borough would have to have a 15% match. So it's a relatively low match, but it would basically would do half of the project for us.
Half is better than none. Okay, so we have resolution number 2021-09, which is a resolution of the Council of the Borough of Wyomissing, Berks County, Pennsylvania, authorizing actions related to receiving a flood mitigation program grant for the implementation of the Lincoln and Brandywine floodplain mitigation project. Is somebody willing to put that on the table?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. Thank you.
That was probably the most mitigations ever in one paragraph. The word mitigation used.
Yeah, a lot of mitigation in there. Great. Okay. Any questions for the engineer? All those in favor of accepting that report, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Good, thank you. Police Chief and Mayor's report. Chief Phillips, Mayor Levering.
Hi, it's Mayor Levering. Thank you, Mr. President. I have two comments before turning it over to the chief. The chief will make some comments and then answer your questions. The two things I'd like to mention is one of his items that he will mention is an incident that occurred where one of our officers, Officer Nye, intervened in talking somebody out of a potential suicide, a jump off a bridge on Penn Avenue over the bridge that crosses the West Shore bypass. And I think it's just a tremendous job and want to acknowledge her. It's literally saved a life. It's a wonderful thing. The other comment is I must report that we have another retirement. Courtney Garapoli, who's been a member of our department for many years, has announced his retirement, which I believe will be effective the 19th of this month, so next week. He served with distinction for many years, and his experience will be missed, but we understand his rationale, and we will move on. But we'd like to acknowledge the contributions that he's made to the community. So, Chief, will you take over, please?
Certainly. Good evening, everybody. Go over my report with you. As you can see, our percentage of time is pretty standard. If you have any questions about anything, please just let me know. But for the month of April, we responded to 629 calls for service. Out of that 629, 148 were in our business districts, accounting for 23% of the calls, and our residential communities accounted for 35 calls, or 5% of our total calls for service. Some items of interest for the month of April are COVID-19. We're still following our same plans, and we're still in good supply of all our sanitation items. Out of our 629 calls, our average response time was 3.02 minutes till we were on location, and average time spent was 31.97 minutes. We've received some excessive speed reports. Councilman Jenks talked about that, I believe, last month a little bit, and we put out some of our traffic signs in a couple of those locations. The locations that we were at were on Cheltenham Drive and Lawndale between Valley and Wingert. The speed limit at both locations is 25 miles per hour. We're always looking for the 85th percentile. On Cheltenham, we found that it was 31.47, and at Lawndale was 25.02. So we see a little bit of an increase there on Cheltenham. With our BASCAR units, for us to issue a citation for a violation, we have to give 10, so it's not within that realm. But I've directed some traffic checks to begin more frequently up there just to try to slow it down on Cheltenham a bit. But so it's not a violation where we can cite, but we're going to try to slow it down for the residents there. We've also received, at the end of March, received a complaint of the school bus stop there on Park Road at Ole. It used to be on 4th, but because of that construction that we were just talking about, it had been moved up to Park Road. So we had received some complaints about cars not stopping for the buses. So I've directed for the entire month that we had some observations during the times that the buses are there, calls for service dictated. We were able to do 286 minutes of traffic observation during those times. While we were there, we did not see anything. We haven't received any complaints from the school. But that being said, we realized that the people tend to drive a little bit better in following rules when they see a marked car there. And our original complainant sent us an email that had a video of one of the cars doing it on one of the times that we weren't there. So we're not saying that it's not a problem, it doesn't happen, but the times that we were there, nothing did occur. So till the end of the school, I've told everybody to still keep an eye on it, but the directed patrol or observation checks for those time periods have ceased. On April 7th, we conducted another operation with HSI and Berks County Human Trafficking. We were at hotels here in Wyomissing and in Spring Township. And each time that we do these, we kind of focus on different areas where sometimes we look for the child predators, or I've talked about those in the past. We were looking for, we try to go after a lot of the pimps when they bring the girls to the locations when we act as Johns. And this time we actually were targeting the patrons of the prostitutes. So we, in Wyomissing alone, encountered 35 people that have been charged with the soliciting. We ended up handling 12 of those arrests, and the county detectives handled the rest of those charges. On the 12th, we assisted Spring with a shooting at one of their hotels. One of the actors involved was taken into custody a short time later, and a few days later, the second actor was taken into custody. On the 25th was the incident that the mayor spoke about with Officer Nye. She was assisting the West Reading Police with the jumper. Officer Nye has some special skills. She's part of the Berks County Emergency Response Team. She's one of the negotiators, so she's received some specialized trainings. She was able to convince this individual who had climbed over the chain link fence. If you're familiar with when you're going over the Penn Avenue Bridge there, as it's going over 422, there's a chain link fence. So she was on the opposite side of that. She was able to convince that individual to allow West Reading's fire crew to put a ladder up to her from the bypass to get her down. So I have issued a life-saving award to Terry. I'm going to be giving it to her after tonight's meeting. Myself and the mayor have both signed it. I'll read it if you don't mind. Life-saving award presented to Terry L. Nye. The life-saving award is hereby presented to Officer Terry L. Nye for her quick thinking and heroic effort in saving the life of a young woman intent on taking her own life. On April 25th, 2021, Officer Nye assisted the West Reading Police with a female attempting to take her own life by jumping off the Penn Avenue Bridge onto Route 422. Officer Nye approached the subject in a calm manner, gained her confidence, and eventually convinced the female to allow fire personnel to approach with a ladder and bring her off the edge to a place of safety. Officer Nye is a credit to herself, the Wyomissing Police Department, and the Borough of Wyomissing. Really proud of her. She's very humble. If you know Terry, she doesn't want to take any kind of credit for this at all, but I think it's important to recognize our officers when they do something well, and this was a terrific thing. And last thing, was what the mayor talked about with Officer Courtney Garapoli retiring. His last day is indeed on the 19th, and we wish him well in his endeavors. With our incidents, the traffic stops that I've talked about, we're taking, that's the most handled, followed by our usual. They tend to be the same every month with burglar alarms and alarms. We've handled 36 accidents this month between reportable and non-reportable, bringing us up to 194 for the year. We issued 159 either moving citations or warnings and 7 parking tickets, which brings us up to 525 for the year. We had 22 arrests. Most of those are going to be those sex offenders that I spoke about. We had no juveniles, so we're up to 120 for the year. We dealt with 3 wanted individuals. We had 38 part 1 and part 2 offenses, 14 and 24 for each, which brings our calls for service other than crimes was 591. So that 591 plus 38 gives you that 629 that I spoke about in the beginning. We brought in a total of $7,645 in fines and reports requested. We used 802 gallons of fuel and 6,003 miles of roads patrolled. So when you look at our part 1 and part 2, we're up, we had 38, like I said, for the year. We're up to 164 total with a clearance rate of 122. So right now we're looking at about 74% clearance rate, which is exceptionally high compared to the national average. Our times for our calls for service is pretty standard every month. Our busy times are pretty much from 11 a.m. till 5 p.m. It kind of filters off from there. I have our arrests. Like I said, the sex offenses were the 12 were the highest, down to our normal narcotics, domestics, things like that. And then the last part of the report shows the traffic checks that we did with the speeds that I referenced earlier. If anybody has any questions, like I said, I'm glad to answer.
I would just like to offer Chief Phillips a round of applause for Officer Nye. Great job.
She did a great job.
One last thing for you, John. I guess I would like to mention that we lost one of our retired officers, Larry Hummel, who was one of our officers from 1970 to 2001. I was his field training officer when he started, and Larry was a good guy. He's going to be missed.
His viewing is tomorrow. So I'll be going up with several of our officers, current and retired, will be going. Yeah, Larry was a good guy.
So thank you. All right, all in favor of accepting the police chief and mayor's report, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. Thank you very much, John. Fire commissioner's report, Phil.
Okay, the fire report for April. The fire department responded to 138 calls for service, 59 of those being EMS, rescue, or motor vehicle crashes. And the other highest was 49, which was alarm activations. Of those 138 calls, there were 87 of them in the borough, and we responded 51 times outside of the borough with an average response time of 2 minutes and 5 seconds. There was no property damage, and total responses year to date, 489. That's all I have.
Any questions on the fire commissioner's report? All those in favor of accepting that one, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. Infrastructure, Tom.
Okay. We met on April 19th, and we have a fairly straightforward information here. If we get over to the page with streets, we did have the committee recommending the council approve payment application number 6. The borrower's construction for the 4th Street project of $165,772.17. And unless Jim has any comments, I'll make that motion.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. Melissa, roll call, please.
Councilmember Voucher,
Yes.
Councilmember Woodward,
Yes.
Councilmember Brenner,
Yes.
Councilmember Jenks,
Yes.
Councilmember Menon,
Yes.
Councilmember Durr,
Yes.
and Council President Mull.
Yes.
Okay, the next item for action is the Wyomissing School District's Woodland Road signal sign there, or I guess signals. The committee, I'm sorry, is recommending the council approve the revised school district signal agreement. And all were in favor, and Chris Hartman, the agreement, if you could just give us like executive summary there, I guess, is be fine.
Okay, well, this is an agreement that authorizes the installation by the school district of a signal on Woodland Road, and the borough, after the school district installs it, the borough will maintain it and repair it and replace it as needed in the future. And this will enhance safety at the school. And it is necessary to have such an agreement in order to have a permit issued by PennDOT for the installation of the signal. PennDOT permit is required whenever there's an electronic signal installation.
Okay, and I'll make that motion to sign that agreement.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. Thank you.
Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. Any other comment there on that?
Anything for the infrastructure committee?
No, I know.
I'm sorry.
just
That's something I can't do.
She always butts in there somehow.
Yeah.
Jim Babb, does the fountain or the sprayer thing get turned on there at Parkside Drive South soon, or what? Is that broken, or is he there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay.
Dan McCreenan would probably be more able to answer that than me.
Oh.
I'm not sure.
Yes, sir. We're having issues with it. We have the company coming up. They're gonna bring some extra guys with to get it out of the pond and see if it can be repaired.
Oh, okay.
It's an aging pump. It's very old. I'm not certain how old it is, but they told me it's pretty old and it's probably starting to wear out. So we're gonna see if we can repair it or put it back up in there for now.
Okay, I was just wondering because I know by this time it's usually on. Okay.
Yeah, it was on for a couple weeks and then had to be turned off again.
Yeah. All right. Checking on it then. Okay, that's all, Tom, unless somebody else does anything.
Okay. All those in favor of accepting the infrastructure report, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. Thank you. Next item is the library report. Jody.
Yes, good evening. The library board met on April 19th. Just a few highlights for you. They have prepared an informational welcome flyer that will be available to new residents just to kind of help them learn a little bit more about the library and the services it offers. The children's librarian has resigned, so they are looking to fill that position, but they have somebody already on staff who can temporarily fill in. She's a school librarian. So they're looking to fill that, but she will, she will be filling in the meantime. The Derby party was held on May 1st, and I think was very successful. I think some of you may have attended. And they're also planning an additional fundraiser, a fun run, a 5K fun run, which I think we'll be discussing later. We'll be considering that for approval tonight. They also filled some open positions on their board. So I think they are doing well with that. And what's not in the minutes is that as of last Monday, they have increased their operating hours. So they're up to 6 days a week. So yeah, feel free to go back and check out the library. The next meeting is next Monday, the 17th at 7 via Zoom.
Good.
Okay. Thank you, Jody. All those in favor of accepting the library report, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Have it. Personnel Committee, Tom.
Okay, there's a few items on there that are just informational. But I do see on here, and I know I didn't know if we were gonna do it with this committee or through the fire and police, but we have, the committee would like to recommend anyway, to council to hire the top 2 candidates from the Certified Civil Service Commission list for the police department patrol positions. And Chief Phillips reported tonight that all those things listed there, the psychological, drug and alcohol screenings and standard polygraph have all been dealt with. Is that correct, Chief?
That is correct. Everything's been completed and successfully completed.
Okay, so I did write down the names there. Bill, I know you have them if you want to.
Yes, the names are Mr. Brandon Moyer and Mr. Alexander Bird.
Excuse me,
Okay.
it's Brandon Morris, M-O-R-I-S,
Morris.
not Moyer. Yes.
I apologize.
Okay, Brandon Morris and Alexander Bird. And I will make the motion to hire those 2 individuals.
And I'll second that motion.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
Okay, and that's all I have. Progress on the fire technician thing, and I guess that's it.
Okay, that's great. All those in favor of accepting the Personnel Committee report, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. Rec Board, Steve.
Thank you. The rec board met on April 20th, and many things have happened since then. I'll just talk about the 2 events that we had since then. Earth Day event was held on April 24th, and I'll let Dan talk about that a little bit, as well as the fishing rodeo last Saturday, where we wanted to spread people out. We had many more fish, so we ended up spreading them out all the way from just about the Roos Bridge down to the wall at the Stone House. Dan, you want to expand upon any of that before I get into all the emotions?
Just that the Earth Day cleanup, we had about 30 volunteers. I will mention almost everybody came back and noted that they had trouble finding trash. So that's a good problem to have on an Earth Day cleanup, I think. And then for the fishing rodeo, we had, I believe it was 67 registrants, borough children that were signed up for the event. And from what I understand, that was a pretty high number. So other than that, it went well.
I was at the rodeo. I walked up and down it more than once. There's probably just as many people who didn't register and were fishing and young that were participating also. So it was nice to see. Okay, moving on with some old business. The council is making a recommendation. We had discussion about using volunteers for the playground like we have in the past. And the council is making the rec board is making a recommendation to council to approve volunteer participation for the 2021 summer playground program. And I will make that motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. Go ahead, Steve.
Some additional things. The rec board is recommending to council to approve the 2021 summer tennis lesson program at the borough tennis courts, obviously following CDC guidelines. And again, I will make that motion.
Second.
And we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it.
Okay. The next item we have is the rec board is recommending to council to accept a $242 donation from the Cranes Hoffman Charitable Fund of the Berks County Community Foundation for the park trail maintenance. And I will obviously make that motion.
And a second. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Have it.
Okay, then we have a bunch of motions that I'll just sort of preface by saying these were all motions that were discussed, but at the end of the day, it was when we were told that the loosening of some of the guidelines and regulations due to COVID-19. We're going to make some recommendations to council regarding the upcoming summer programs as well as some of our events. So the first motion I would like to make to Borough Council is to authorize the full operation of the playground program as it was pre-COVID, but with the following safety enhancements, one of which is participants will be separated into 2 groups and they will be picked up and dropped off in 2 separate locations. And there will be regular cleaning and sanitizing of all facilities by the staff. And I'll make that motion.
Second. Motion and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. Go ahead, Steve.
Okay, the next one is we are asking Borough Council to authorize full operation of the pool and the snack bar as it was pre-COVID, but with the following safety enhancements. The 2022 procedures will be filed Memorial Day until the end of May 31st. And that's basically where they have to do advanced reservations to make sure that we don't exceed our limits. And then the pool and snack bar will operate on a full schedule. The snack bar, pool house, and the restroom facilities will be off limits from 3 till 3:30 for cleaning and disinfecting. Patrons will not need to leave the pool during this time frame. And we're proposing to put up acrylic guards to be installed at the pool front desk and the snack bar windows by B&G Glass. And there will be a cost of that of $1,677.62. All of that, I will make that motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it.
Okay, the third one is to ask the Borough Council to authorize the concerts in the parks and movies in the parks as they were pre-COVID. Cleaning and disinfecting will occur before and after each event, and social distancing would be, if needed, applied. So I'll make that motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it.
Okay, maybe the biggest one on people's minds is we're asking Borough Council to authorize the planning and execution of the borough's annual 4th of July celebration. The borough staff and rec board members will make every attempt to accomplish all the tasks necessary to make the parade and post-parade event successful. I will tell you that we are running late on this. The good news is no one else was really planning too many of the parades either. So we're trying to get the groups together, assuming we get this approved. But it'll get us back to some normalcy. So I will make the recommendation that we have the planning and execution of the borough's annual 4th of July celebration and post-celebration.
I will gladly second that motion.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Ayes have it.
Okay. The next question was we're asking you to authorize the council to authorize the borough rental facilities such as the Stonehouse, Happy Hollow Playground and Pavilion, and the Wyomissing Hills Playground and Pavilion as allowed pre-COVID, with expanding the cleaning and sanitizing. Again, this would be effect after May 31st, and I'll make that motion.
And a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it.
And then we have one more late addition. Dan, you can help me out, or Michelle, but we're making a recommendation to allow the Wyomissing Youth Soccer Program, or the Wyomissing Soccer Program, the use of the quarry fields as well as the concession stands at the quarry fields, provided they will clean them and sanitize them, as well as the Wyomissing Youth Baseball Program to use the facilities and the fields at Berkshire Heights. Did I cover that correctly, Dan?
Yes, and just to allow them, to authorize them to allow, I guess, rental of their facilities as they did in the past to other organizations.
To do what?
Well, I guess they used to, we allowed them to like have, I don't know, like the soccer club, there's Reading Rage Soccer Club. They would come in and kind of like rent that field from them. I'm not too,
Okay, well, so our recommendation is to put it back to where we were pre-COVID.
Yeah.
So we'll go ahead and make that motion.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second on that?
Second.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Ayes have it.
Okay, you'll be glad to know that's the end of the things we'll be asking you. I will tell you that the rec board has a lot on their plate to go quickly. Unfortunately, we can't resurrect the Memorial Day parade because it's prior to June or May 31st or June 1st. We're glad that the governor has allowed us to open up, to allow us to open the pool, the playground, to get us some normalcy. We may have to be doing some masking depending on what our percentage of vaccinations are, but at the end of the day, there will be some normalcy in Wyomissing, and I think that is great for the community and namely its kids. So thank you.
My comment is on this, Steve, is my compliments to the rec board and certainly for Dan, who's really just getting started on this, and all our volunteers that have done a fantastic job getting all this information together and getting it through. My compliments.
Pass that on to them. Well, Dan, you heard it.
thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, all those in favor of accepting that lengthy report, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. Refuse and recycling, Bill.
Okay, Refuge and Recycling Committee met on April the 21st. And there was a public concern in the January meeting that the recycling is going to a landfill. And Borough Manager Pat Brandenburg spoke with Mascaro, and they indicated recycling is processed at their new Birdsboro facility. So that should end that question. The recycling grant also has been received in the amount of $39,895. Everything else is pretty much informative. I would just like to add that the flexible plastic recycling program that we developed along with Mascaro continues to be a huge success for our residents. We continue to be only one of 2 municipalities in Berks County to have such a program, and that it's running so well. That's all I have.
Okay. All those in favor of accepting the refuse and recycling report, please signify by saying aye.
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 Ayes have it. Thank you, Bill. Next item is the Fire and Police Committee, and you're on again.
Okay, we'll switch hats here. Fire and Police Committee met on April the 26th. Again, rather self-explanatory. Few highlighted items. Chief Colin Hackman had reported that the fire department was in receipt of a PEMA grant in the amount of $13,180.96. These funds will be purchase protective gear and miscellaneous equipment. Chief Hackman also indicated that the electrical connection issue on the turntable of Tower 79 has been repaired, and Tower 79 is back in service, knock on wood. And it is the frontline piece right now, as the ladder truck is undergoing some warranty repairs. Under Western Berks Ambulance, they just reported 285 calls for service to the borough with no Narcan administered. Okay, under Police Department, there was a motion made and second to recommend the council to approve the library's 5K run for June 12th, 2021, contingent upon the submission of their COVID response plan. And I will make that motion.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Sorry.
Aye. Ayes have it.
Okay, Chief Phillips indicated that Safe Works would like to host an event on June the 19th in the old Wrangler parking lot, which would include a tent. The committee is recommending the council to approve the Safe Works event for June 19, contingent upon the completion of an operational permit and inspection for the temporary tent, and the submission of their COVID response plan. Furthermore, the committee recommends waiving the operational permit fee, and I will make that motion.
And a second.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. I believe they're honoring, Safe Perks is honoring John Gallen in this particular event for his generosity with Safe Perks and several other of these worthwhile institutions that
Oh, that's terrific.
and they take care of battered women and folks that need assistance in that vein. Okay, that's great. Thank you.
Good cause.
Okay, Chief Phillips had also discussed that there was a matching grant from PCCD for up to $23,000 for body worn cameras. And he is requesting 16 of these. However, it is an unbudgeted item. So the committee decided to pass this along to the Finance Committee for further action. So no motion needs to be taken on that.
Can I interject, Bill?
Yeah.
As part of the Finance Committee, John, you might want to come to the Finance Committee meeting to discuss your wants and needs, just so we're all clear on it with that, if you don't mind.
When is that next one? May
Uh-huh.
6th or June 3rd?
June 3rd.
June 3rd. Okay.
John, I think Pat was going to get some additional details as to the split between body camera versus the cars, or doing it all as one package or splitting it up. He said he was going to check on a few things that he didn't.
I have some of that information, just so you know. I mean,
Okay.
we
Yeah.
can wait, I can talk about it now, or if you want to wait till finance, that's fine.
I think we may as well wait till finance, don't we? Or, I mean, we're not going to do it now anyway, are we?
Yeah, I think what finance will do is if we can figure out a way to finance it, we'll make that motion or pass it on to the other committees, and then they'll approve it, and then we'll approve it at that next month's meeting if that's as fast as it works. I'm not sure.
Yeah, that'll be right.
That's fine.
You're not on a timeline here, John, are you? I mean, you're not.
November.
Well, we have, for the body worn portion of it, for that grant, we have to spend it by November.
Yeah.
So we have time.
Okay.
To be clear, I think everybody understands the need for it. It's just a matter of how we're going to finance it.
Okay, Bill?
All righty, going on, there was quite a bit of discussion regarding our amendment of the fire and police alarm system billing. And the committee is making a motion, has made a motion to recommend council approve amending the ordinance for the fire and police false alarm system billing to clarify that false alarm charges will be calculated on an annual review basis, beginning with the second false alarm, and also clarify the collection procedures. Furthermore, the committee recommends amending the fee schedule resolution to allow one free false alarm and begin billing for a second and subsequent false alarms at $50 for the second false alarm and $100 for the third false alarm and $200 each for the fourth or more false alarms. And I will make that motion.
Second. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Excuse me, can I have some discussion on that? Since the
well,
motion's been made. I just had a question.
Well, no, wait till we get a second, Jody, and I'll give you.
Oh,
the
I'm
question.
sorry. I thought you did.
No, no.
I seconded it.
We have a second question on the motion. Jody?
Yeah, I was just wondering, I mean, I understand the importance of clarifying our policy and amending the ordinance, but I guess I was just wondering what the reasoning was for sort of hitting reset in January when we have some businesses, as far as my understanding is, that have like frequent habitual accidental alarms. You know, so you could have alarms going, you know, October, November, December, and then suddenly it's January and you get a freebie, and then, you know, you go back to the schedule of, you know, the 50 and the 100. And I guess I was just curious about the reasoning behind that. Is it for administrative reasons it's easier? I know we're not talking about a huge amount of money maybe, but I mean, I just thought maybe, does it make more sense to say, provided you have had no alarms during the preceding X number of months, it resets? Then I don't know. Just my question.
I think it's mostly an administrative thing, Jody. You know, I know along with the burglar alarms and such, you know, those can be identified as fire alarms. They can be storm related, which of course then we don't, you know, it's just what it is. It was storm related, and they're not charged for those. But it's other places, as you said, that we might as well put a piece of fire apparatus at one location because we're there 4 times a day.
Right, but for those cases, I'm not sure why we're, you know, why aren't we continuing to charge them $200 in January if they've, you know, had.
If they clean up the
Jody,
act.
Jody, it's Mayor Levering. I believe this is a question for our solicitors. As far as I'm concerned, it's a matter of complying with our ordinances. You make a valid point, but the ordinances say what they say, and we have to go with that. There are some businesses within the community that literally find it less expensive to pay the fines than fix their systems.
Yes, I understand that, but we're in the process of amending the ordinance so we can amend it how we wish, right?
Right.
Yeah,
I think the habitual ones should fall into that category, Judy, quite frankly. You know, if they're clear or clean for, I don't know, as you say, months before or whatever, 6 months before, and they're kind of cleaned up their act, they can start again. But the habituals who we know exist, yeah, why should they get a free pass again? Yeah.
Well, it was set up so that it renews every year. So every calendar year it starts over.
Right.
That's what Jody is talking about. I think it is, from a certain point of view, an arbitrary rule to have a reset on an annual basis. However, I think one of the points of discussion at the committee meeting was to match the Spring Township system, which I think makes a lot of sense in order to avoid confusion. Since we have a unified fire department, I think for something like this where there is an administrative requirement or burden on the fire department officials, that we have the same rules in both jurisdictions so that they don't have to keep track of where they're at when they're making out a false alarm report. So, you know, and that's not a compelling policy reason, but I think on a practical level, we should have consistency with Spring Township on the rules.
No, I think that makes sense. That was my question. Is there an administrative reason why we are choosing to do it this way?
Yeah, I think it's administrative and not policy driven.
Okay.
But the other point I would make is the truly habitual violators of this regulation, one free false alarm is not going to make a significant difference. I mean, the people who are habitual violators, their charges run into the thousands of dollars because there are many, many false alarms at their property. So again, I don't think one freebie per calendar year really is going to make any difference in the motivation to comply.
I assume unfortunately, we have to include the habituals with the non-habitual. And I guess at the end of the day, if you look at this, if someone has an alarm that goes bad for a couple of weeks and they get it fixed eventually, they got fined twice. Now it's fixed for the following year. We don't hear anything from them. They get one by accident, something like that. They're back to zero. Unfortunately, I think we can't just pick out the habitual ones versus the non-habitual ones.
Again, I think that would make the record keeping very challenging, and I wouldn't recommend making it any more complicated.
Okay.
Okay.
Does that answer your question, Jody?
It does. Thank you.
Okay. We have a motion, a second. Bill, do you want to read this is for advertising, so you want to read the preamble of the ordinance?
Did we vote on the other? There's two different motions. Am I correct, Chris?
No.
Well, there's a resolution and an ordinance. So what council should consider first is to authorize advertising the ordinance.
Okay. I'll make a motion to authorize advertising ordinance number 1420-2021. And I guess I need to read that. An ordinance of the Borough of Wyomissing, Berks County, Pennsylvania, amending the code of the Borough of Wyomissing, Chapter 13, entitled Licenses, Permits, and General Business Regulations. Part 1, entitled Fire and Police Alarm Systems. Section 105, entitled Penalties, letter D, to provide for a fee upon the occurrence of a second false alarm, and to add section 112 to be entitled Collection of Fees, to provide the method for recovery of fees for false alarms.
Okay.
And I will make that motion.
And a second.
Second.
And all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Okay, and lastly, as a follow-up to public comment, there was a concern that dead trees on property in the area of Cardinal Road and Spiral Lane could fall across the roadway. The borough staff is working with the property owner to have the trees removed, which may threaten public streets and walking paths. So action is being taken.
Okay.
That's all I got for that one.
Thank you, Bill. All those in favor of accepting the Fire and Police Committee report, please signify by saying aye.
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 And next on the agenda is Park and Shade Tree. Bill, you're up again.
Okay. All righty. Park and Shade Tree Commission met on April the 28th. The main topic of conversation was the deer density survey. The commission has reviewed the USDA deer density survey report that the borough authorized to have done. And the committee is recommending that we take the necessary steps to move quickly to reduce the deer herd in the parklands. And at this point, nothing definitive has been decided, and therefore I would just like to recommend that council take this under advisement.
We have a motion to take this under advisement until later time. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. Thank you, Bill.
Okay, under the Weed Wrangler program, resident Lucy Carnes presented to the committee a program that was developed in other portions of the nation to combat a non-native plant and weed species. She has volunteered to work with Mike Slatter to map small-scale pilot project opportunities and bring suggestions to the July 28th Park and Shade Tree Commission. So nice to have, once again, another volunteer helping out our community. And following up with that one would be under the Centennial Circuit plannings. Michelle Barra reported to be in contact with Scott Miller, a resident and a landscape architect, to discuss planning options at Centennial Circle. She has asked Scott to examine low maintenance options and prepare a plan to share with the commission at the July meeting. And Dan McCrana, Dan, you want to discuss the park bench program, and that's been tabled for now?
Yeah, I briefly, I think, spoke about that at a past council meeting. We're trying to combat the maintenance issue with the park benches. So I'm working, kind of in my spare time, I'm working on a park bench program. So I'm hoping by the end of summer, fall, that I can have something to present to you guys.
Okay, great.
They're gonna, Dan, are they gonna fix the ones that are really in bad shape though now?
Yes, sir. They're working on that. Yep.
Because there's a couple down around the stone house I noted that maybe by the 4th, we don't want to have
Yep.
looking bad. Okay.
Yeah, I asked them to look at that in the playground benches, all the really high traffic areas.
Okay, and lastly, as a follow-up to public comment, during the meeting, once again, there was an objection to the Sunshine Act due to commission members using a combination of phone and video conferencing during the meeting. And again, it was explained that the meetings are permitted to be held via phone, video conferencing during declaration of disaster emergency set forth by the governor. I hope we can put that to bed once and for all. And with that, I have nothing else.
Okay. All those in favor of accepting the Park and Shade Tree Commission report, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. Thanks, Bill. Okay, next is economic development. John.
I thought you forgot about me.
No. Never.
I don't know. It's pretty self-explanatory. If Melissa could, yeah, here we go. So we talked about Elam Stoltzfus and the Stoltzfus property over there on Tulpehocken Road. It's real. Some of us went to tour it, and it's really a neat thing. And we'd like I'd like to make a motion to recommend council authorize Borough Solicitor Chris Hartman and Assistant Borough Manager and Economic Development Coordinator Michelle Bear to prepare a draft historical tourism zoning overlay district, and I so move.
What does that involve? Or a second, I'll make a second and then just say, what does that mean?
That means that they want to, it's a little vague, Chris, and I don't know if you want to weigh in, but they want to do events there, like corporate events and like wedding receptions.
Right. Yeah. They want to be able to bring people to the property in order to promote the visibility of what they're doing there and what they have to show the world. And this ordinance would allow some public access there for, I don't know if we will call it a museum or what exactly we're going to define it as. But under the current zoning for that location, the only thing that's allowed is a nursing home. It's in the nursing home district. So they're not allowed to do anything related to, having public visitors come to a historic site. So this amendment would enable them to legitimately hold events there where people would come to visit the property. But another thing that we talked about at the committee was that they don't have enough parking to have large groups, but they are working with the nursing home over there to try to acquire some additional land so they could, at some point in the future, construct a parking lot so they could accommodate larger groups of visitors. So part of what I want to do with this draft to share with council is to allow smaller type events based on the existing conditions at the property, but then to allow larger events based on the availability of off-street parking if they're able to acquire that additional land in the future. So what I've just described to you is generally what you're going to see when we come to you with a draft amendment to the zoning ordinance.
Just as a keynote on that, with what Chris said, in 1976, a great number of the Stoltzfus family and the Schmuckers came to the borough and visited the historic site down there by the Tulpehocken, and also the Stone House, which was all their relatives that are now occupying a good bit of Lancaster County. So there is quite a bit of interest in their group, and I think it'd be a worthwhile project. They've really done a lot, and of course we have the big plaque down there at the Stone House. I think most of you have seen it. It's going back a little bit.
President Mull, this is Mayor Levering. I echo your thoughts. That was well said. But to put it in context, we have spoken countless times about the legacy of the Toons and Janssens that we embrace with the history of our borough. The Stoltzfus family and a Stoltzfus woman was Mr. Schmucker's wife. Those properties predate the Toons and Janssens by well over 100 years.
Oh,
and
absolutely.
It really is something that needs to be embraced, I think, by us to perpetuate that legacy. It's a wonderful thing.
I went to they had an event on May 1st, their annual fundraiser, and there were tons of Amish people there, and the Amish people are very proud of their ancestry, and there's a great commitment by them to perpetrate the whole Stoltzfus legacy. And I think something like 25.7% of all the Amish people in America or his last name is Stoltzfus. So they have these bus tours every once in a while, and it's just really neat. And the neat thing about this, the event, I went there and they were making ice cream. And I said, well, how much does it cost? Everything was free. You just had to make a donation. So it was pretty cool. They auctioned off quilts and, had different things there. And they built a barn there a few years back. I don't remember how many years, but it's really impressive what they've done there to a really ramshackle, overgrown property that now is pretty nice. So
Actually, we were very lucky that house was saved. That was originally owned by Tulpehocken Farms, and during the Agnes flood, it was damaged. A lot of damage to the house itself. And through the efforts, I think, of the investment company, they saved the property. There was I know they wanted to take it down, but it didn't happen, fortunately. but it is interesting to see them when they got around the stone house in 76, the whole group, they were there by the busload. There was like 15 buses, and each one just touching the stones and talking to the young children was something to watch. It was put an impression in my memory that I'll never forget.
Yeah.
I just want to jump in with one quick with that too. I was over there too, John, and it was very impressive. The buildings are like immaculate. I mean, immaculate. It's unbelievable. And I noticed, I think it's the barn building there. I'm not sure. Do they have like a bed and breakfast there?
Not to my knowledge.
No.
I thought there was a
There's a caretaker who lives on the property in the barn, on the ground floor.
Okay, that's what that was then, I guess. Okay. I thought it said bed and breakfast, but I guess it can't be. Yeah. All right. Well, it was really neat.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
Okay, so we have a motion to explore this, the historic district, or
Got a motion in a second.
motion to second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. There we go. John?
That's about it for there.
Okay. All those in favor of accepting the economic development report, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. And planning commission, you're up next, John.
Okay. All right, yeah, make it a little bigger, that's good. Well, I'd like to make a motion here that we recommend council grant conditional final plan approval subject to all review comments in McCarthy Engineering's review letter dated April 21st, 2021 for 560 Van Reed Road. I so move.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it.
Okay, what do we have here? Okay, I'd also like to move that recommend council to approve waivers from the saldo and the stormwater ordinance conditioned upon waivers that have not already been documented, must be documented before the council meeting, and the applicant must agree to a fee in lieu of providing a traffic study, impact study that is acceptable to council, and the easement requirement for storm sewers under 310C.4 that will be provided as a non-exclusive easement. And I so move, and that is in reference to the Chinese place over there. And I so move.
What Chinese place?
Panda Heaven, I believe.
Panda, yeah.
Express.
It's not there
Panda
yet.
Express.
Yeah, it's not there yet. They want to put a pad on it. It's over near the bank and
Taco Bell and
Burger King.
Burger King.
Yeah, Taco Bell and Burger King. So, we had some concerns about the traffic there. That Eric on the committee, he's a traffic engineer, and he seemed to be okay with it. And if he's okay with it, I'm okay with it. So.
Okay, do we have a second, Tom, or?
Not yet. Do we have a second?
I'll second it. I just wanted to ask, so did they do all the things they should or not?
They haven't yet, but they're going to.
Okay.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor of passing this, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. Go ahead, John.
Also, we recommend council grant conditional final plan approval subject to the approval of the waivers by council, subject to receiving the variance from the zoning hearing board, and subject to all remaining comments in McCarthy Engineering's review letter dated April 21st, 2021, and I so move.
And a second?
Second.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Ayes have it. Okay, John.
I think that's it.
We have the draft of the stormwater ordinance that we're looking for a motion to authorize advertising. I don't know if you, can you talk about that, John, or do you want,
Sure.
maybe we should have,
Let me turn the light on here so I can read.
we could have Jim McCarthy describe it. Jim's office is the one that prepared this.
So this basically deals with smaller projects. Typically, anything that has to go through subdivision and land development would not be, this wouldn't be applicable to, but we've experienced especially during COVID, a rush of small residential projects, pools, patios, and things that are around 1,000 to 1,500 square feet. Our current ordinance requires them to go through a full detailed engineering, design, plan, survey, soils testing. And a lot of the owners were voicing opinions. They felt it was onerous. So we've developed almost a homeowner do-it-yourself ordinance where we've given them some basic information where they just have to figure out how much impervious they have, put it in a block, and it tells them how big of a seepage bed or rain garden they need to install. So it saves our residents that are doing small projects, you know, the cost of having to go hire professionals to do a small stormwater plan.
So it doesn't eliminate their responsibility to do stormwater planning, but it provides basically a do-it-yourself formula or plan that they can use for these small projects. And this would only apply to residential projects. It wouldn't apply to commercial projects.
Right. And it would be a max new impervious coverage of 1,500 square feet. Anything over that would require a full plan in compliance with our ordinance as it stands for all projects.
Do you want me to read that?
Let's read the preamble, John.
Okay. I recommend council has it pass ordinance 1419-2021. Is that just for advertisement? Yeah,
Just for advertisement tonight.
Okay, an ordinance to the Borough of Wyomissing, Berks County, Pennsylvania, to amend the Code of Ordinances of the Borough of Wyomissing, Chapter 20A, entitled Stormwater Management, by amending Part 4 entitled Stormwater Plan Requirements by adding a new Section 408 entitled Small Residential Project Stormwater Design Regulations, and I so move.
Second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor to advertise this ordinance, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. Thank you. That it, John?
That's it for me. What
John,
about the resolution or the about the Berks County construction code agreement?
Yeah, we need to have the council consider that also. And that is regarding building permit appeals, if they were to occur in the borough. We have been for many years participating in a county appeals board process. And this is an update of the agreement that we have with the county to use the county UCC appeals board. So I would recommend that council consider a motion to adopt the resolution approving the updated agreement with the county for the UCC Appeals Board.
I recommend that council resolves, passes resolution number 2021-07, a resolution of the council of the Borough of Wyomissing, Berks County, Pennsylvania, authorizing the borough to enter into an intergovernmental agreement to establish and continue the cooperation with the county of Berks and other participating municipalities in the county, and I so move.
Second.
Second.
And we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. Thank you. Thank you, John.
And do we have a couple more?
That's it for now.
That's,
Okay.
Don't laugh.
That's all I have.
okay. All those in favor of accepting the planning commission report, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. Thank you. Finance and administration, Steve.
Okay, the Finance Committee met on May 6th of this year, and just give you some brief updates, not to read everything to you, but cash and investment balances at the end of April were $10,799,762. Plus, we have 2 pending grant reimbursements for engineering and construction fees for the DCD totaling $206,448. Which would bring our total investment to just a shade over $11 million. We also asked Phyllis to look into other banks because some of our monies, we have 2 CDs and the interest rates were dropped. So we asked her to look into if we can get better CD rates at some other bank. So she's actively doing that. Our surplus in April was $2.11 million, created a year-to-date surplus of $1.949 million. Increased the overall fund balance to $11,449,293, of which we have put $534,079 in reserves for future expenses that we know we're going to incur, such as MS4, some renovation projects, and so forth. So those are the basic April results. At the meeting, Phyllis had shared with us that Betsy Heckman had told us that she had about 81% of the taxes collected. We all, I believe most of us received an email yesterday from the tax collector stating that in excess of 90% of the taxes were collected in a discount period. There were some struggles with the software system when they collected the taxes. So it wasn't, I think we still had a good week left at the end when we had this report of the dollars amount that were collected. So I think 90%, over 90% is actually the highest number we've seen in many years. Some other things of good note, the capital work project for H&K Group for the street work came in at $125,000 under budget. And the water project for Brasso Excavating came in about just a shade under $39,000 under budget. So those are some good things to remember. We also had the finance in order to get this project moving, the infrastructure committee bounced it to finance, and the finance committee is making a recommendation to council to award the 2021 sewer work to the lowest qualified bidder, Sewer Specialty Services Company, in the amount of $231,781.44. And I will make that recommendation.
Tom Boucher, you saw that, right?
Yes.
We had asked if you reviewed that.
Yep.
And we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it.
I think it's fair to note that because we talked about some things that were under budget, that was $31,781.44 over budget. Michelle Baird, the assistant borough manager and economic development coordinator, came to us and talked about the Stonehouse master plan study and is proposing different ways the Stonehouse grounds to be improved, including ADA upgrades to stairways, walkways, pathways, hand railings, and it's an estimated cost of $350,000. There's a Greenways Trails and Recreation Program grant is accepting applications that would be awarded later in 2021. We're going to apply for a $250,000 grant, which would require a 15% match, obviously of $37,500. So there's a resolution out there to make a recommendation to council. The resolution of the council, Borough of Wyomissing, Berks County, Pennsylvania, authorizing actions relating to receiving a Greenways, Trails, and Recreations Programs grant for implementing of the Stonehouse Master Plan project. I'll go ahead and make that motion to approve that resolution.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it.
Okay. There were two other things that we have decided to table, a stormwater management associated with the Stonehouse Master Plan study. Based upon, we applied for a grant of $165,000 for a playground upgrade, and it was, we only got $60,000, of which I guess we should be happy we got 60, but we didn't get 165. And we're considering applying it to phase one of the Stonehouse project, but we have yet to review those Stonehouse project plans. So we're going to table those motions hopefully until next month. Any questions on that? And then finally, there was a motion made for council to approve the payment of architectural fees for up to $5,000 to the Olson Design Group for the plan renovations to the public works facility plans. And I'll go ahead and make that motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. May I have a roll call, please?
Councilmember Boucher,
Yes.
Councilmember Woodward,
Yes.
Councilmember Brenner,
Yes.
Councilmember Jenks,
Yes.
Councilmember Menon,
Yes.
Councilmember Durr,
Yes.
and Council President Mull.
Yes.
One last thing is we're reviewing at each finance committee meeting all the major projects that are going on in the borough, so we can see where they stand on budget. And obviously the biggest one right now going on is the 4th Street project, which is obviously nearing completion, and everything seems to be on budget. That's all I have.
All right. Thank you, Steve. All those in favor of accepting the finance and administration report, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. Managers report, Michelle.
Good evening, everybody. In Pat's absence, I will be giving his report on his behalf. The Joint Municipal Authority and Western Birch Water meeting minutes were not received this month, which is why they're not in your packet. The municipal sewer shutoff agreement with Pennsylvania American Water has been signed and is implemented. Funds have been received regarding the Wyomissing Library roof settlement agreement and mutual release with RestoreCore Incorporated. The civil service promotional testing process for the firefighter technician position is in progress. 5 borough maintenance and park staffs completed and passed a course in heavy equipment and backhoe training May 3rd, 4th, and 5th that was taught by a professional trainer. Borough Hall continues to be closed to the public. Staff continues to assist our citizens and the public by electronic, phone, email, appointments, and Zoom virtual meetings. Staff is currently working on a reopening plan based on information on lifting the state COVID-19 restrictions by the governor that goes into effect on May 31st. The borough website is continuously updated with the latest borough information, as well as resources related to the pandemic and links to the county vaccination information. And we continue to operate under the state and borough declaration of a local disaster, pandemic response plan, etc. Not included in Pat's report, I would respectfully request someone make a motion authorizing the solicitor to file a civil complaint against PAPCO seeking damages for the wrong fuel that was delivered to the borough.
I'll make that motion.
We have a motion. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Ayes have it. All right.
Michelle, I just have a quick question. The funds for the Wyomissing roof, are they at the library? Are they in the funds of the library and the funds of us?
That
is
is
payable to the borough.
Okay, thank you.
They're in that report that Phyllis sent, Steve.
Yep. Just wanted to clarify it.
Okay. All those in favor of accepting the manager's report, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay. Next on the agenda is the treasurer's statement of operation of the general fund, the Bureau of Water, the sewer fund, the highway aid, refuse and recycling funds, and the road fund. Greg, do you have any comments on the funding?
Yeah, if you will indulge me here, Steve mentioned during his report about the good results we had for April. If you look at the first page here, under the April net, the third column with numbers in it, you'll see that 2,110,000 that Steve talked about. The 6th column over, so April year-to-date net. He also mentioned the 1,949,000, which is now the year-to-date. Comparing that with the budget, 3 columns over to the right, 3 more over to the right, $492,000 deficit is what we had budgeted to have at this time of year. That's a $2,400,000 swing in the positive direction. So that's a good sign. And then just a couple other things to note on the, let's see, the fourth page. We heard about the Parks and Recreation, all the good things that are happening since the COVID things being lifted. So if you look at the first few lines, real estate taxes, the current and delinquent. So if you compare the year-to-date in April, the second column, with the prior year-to-date, you have a $44,000 increase this year over last year, and a 200% increase of the delinquent taxes. So it's good news. People are paying their taxes. They're paying them earlier than last year. We struggled last year. You know, we backed up the dates and all that kind of stuff. So we're getting the money in earlier and on time this year. The other large thing to note is real estate transfer taxes, about the sixth line down or something like that, the second column, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. $524,000. Last year at this time, 144,000 we had received. Out of that 524,000, 342,000 of that is for the Equus Properties transfer that just occurred recently. So that was, you know, that's new money that was unbudgeted. So right now, I guess the positive thing to say here is, compared to last year at this time, we're in much better shape, and hopefully, you know, and the expenses are a little bit lower than they were last year at this time. So things are looking good, Tom, as far as council, as far as our finances are concerned. At this time of the year.
You, Mr. Treasurer. Good to hear. Okay. All those in favor of accepting the treasurer's report, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. Next item of business is the accounts payable for the general fund, the Bureau of Water, Sewer Fund, and the Refuse and Recycling Fund. Any questions on the bills?
One question here, John Woodward here. There's $1,720 to the Cohen Law Group for franchise renewal. Do we know what that is?
I think I know what that is. We are part of a consortium that has engaged the Cohen law firm out of Pittsburgh to assist the borough, along with several other municipalities in Berks County, to renegotiate our cable franchise agreement with Comcast. So that's what that's about. That's our legal fee to them for those services.
Thank you.
I have a couple. The sign relocation, which was $47,820, $7,180. What sign did we move that cost that much money?
That was part of the 4th Street project for the land that Dr. Abusef gave to us that we needed for the 4th Street improvements. We agreed to move his water line and also move his sign.
Okay. The barn door deposit, is that the Parks barn, or what are we doing? Putting a new door on somewhere?
Yeah, so there's safety issues that were called out in the fire safety inspection of the Parks barn, mainly regarding safe egress and just the conditions of that door, that it's not lockable. Anybody during the day when the Parks employees are in that building could walk in. So based off the fire safety inspection report and recommendation, Dan went out and got quotes from 2 companies as to replacing those doors to make them comply with fire safety requirements. And I believe the final cost came in around $3,000.
Okay, is that right, Dan? The total?
I think it's 4, but I think it's 4,000, but close. Yeah, so close.
All right. And there was one that said just legal fees, $47,771. What is that? Something? Well, I don't know. I guess that's what I'm asking.
That one I would have to look into and get you an answer.
Okay.
Does it list who the payee is on that?
I don't think it did. I think it just said legal fees, I think.
Which page are you looking at, Tom?
the check number 47771. I don't know what page it was on. I just had the check number there.
Sienna Law.
Who is it?
Well, the payee is Sienna Law. I know who they are, and I don't recall what that related to. That's a law firm in Chester County that we sometimes use for special projects. Or at least we refer them to our clients for special projects, and I'm not sure if it was something that I was involved in or not. I think we'll have to look into that and get an answer to you.
All right, yeah, let me know. And the only other one was, do we pay for the phone at the Hewitt House?
I'm
47,810. What is that? Do we pay that? Doesn't she pay that?
Yeah, she should be paying the phone bill. I
It
can't
said
see
Hewitt
what,
House, it said Hewitt House phone, 3390.
that could probably be the alarm. We do pay for the alarm system.
Oh, okay.
Not her regular phone, but for the fire and security alarm we pay for.
Okay, so that could be the alarm cost.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, those are the only ones I had. Okay. You let me know about those other ones. Oh, that one, the legal fee.
Sienna Law. I'll get you an answer on that tomorrow, Tom.
That's fine. Okay.
Okay, all those in favor of accepting the accounts payable report, please signify by saying aye.
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 Tax collectors report. Any questions on that?
Good job.
Yeah, absolutely. All those in favor of accepting Betsy's report, please signify by saying aye.
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 Last item of business, any other business to be brought before council this evening?
Yeah, Tom, I just wanted to say that I had the pleasure of meeting the new Dean of Medicine for the Drexel College of Medicine, who is now a resident of Wyomissing. When I asked her what made her decide to live in the borough, she told me that her first interest came from looking at our website and that she was very impressed with it and seeing all the amenities that we had to offer. And she decided right then and there, that's where she wanted to live. And she did this sight unseen of the borough. She has already been enjoying our parklands as well as the community as a whole. Michelle, she was very excited to hear about the Wyomissing project, as she's an avid cyclist. She also told me that she's lived all over the country, and by far, and this is in quotes, I wrote this down, Wyomissing is a true gem, and I look forward to enjoying all of it, all that it has to offer. I thought that was very nice.
Nice.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Nice to hear from an outsider.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Must mean we're doing something right.
Yeah. I hope.
Can we make a push for an in-person meeting in June? Can we make a motion, or do we just say, let's do it, or what do we do?
Or,
We're already working under the assumption you wanted that to happen and have reserved dates with the library.
Oh, okay, good.
Pat has been working on this. I just spoke to him last Thursday about it, and he's been working on it and seeing how far we can go and what we can do with as far as our committee meetings and for the hoping that the governor lifts everything. We'll see how we go. A little more of that once toward the end of the month.
Okay.
Okay. Do we have any other business to be brought before council this evening?
Yeah, Mr. President, just really quick, if I could just formally invite all members of council and borough residents to our Memorial Day celebration or ceremony rather on May 29th at 11 a.m. at Wyomissing Hills Memorial Park.
May 29th at 11.
Yep.
Okay.
And that's it for me.
Thanks, Dan. I missed that.
No, oh, no problem.
Okay. May I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
And we'll stand adjourned. Thank you, gentlemen.
Good night, all.
Good night.